It's a pivotal year in the Pac-12 for USC, Lincoln Riley, and Caleb Williams. Is this the year that they win a Pac-12 championship? Well, it better be, as it is their last one. Let's go. It's the #1 college football show. I'm pleased to be joined by USC head coach Lincoln Riley. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Does 40 feel like it's sneaking up on you, sort of like a blitz that's delayed, or you not even thinking about it at all?
A delayed blitz. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's I don't know, in this game and doing this job, some days I feel 25 and some days I feel 65. So maybe 40 is a good spot to be.
I phrase it that way because I don't know that there's been another head coach, short of Coach Switzer, who's been off to the kind of start that you're off to in your career as a head coach. If nothing else, have you had any opportunity to reflect on just what you've been able to accomplish through 6 years of being a head coach?
Haven't thought about it a lot. I did maybe a little bit this summer. With coming to USC last year, it was so hectic, as any new job, as all of us know, as any new job can be, and was just such a rat race, I think, at the time. This summer, I had a chance to kind of reflect. Now that we've gotten settled here in Southern California, I had a chance to reflect on kind of just where all we've been and the journey and all the great people and the great memories. And it's certainly been a lot of fun. Really excited and focused on what's ahead, but appreciative for all the memories up to this point.
I think it would be cruel to ask you which of your quarterbacks you like the most, and I don't expect you to answer that question. However, I am going to say, have you had a quarterback quite like Caleb Williams before?
He is definitely unique, and I think, in every way, I think the skill set is a unique skill set, and there's probably some combinations of of some of the guys that I've previously been lucky enough to coach. And I think probably the most unique thing about it, though, is just kind of our situation together, right? From recruiting him from Oklahoma and how he became the starter there. And then, me taking the job at USC, him coming along to USC together to try to restart this program out here. I think just going through all that has made it feel maybe a little bit different than some of the other guys, because the journey has been so unique, and those experiences that you go through with other people in life a lot of times are what binds you together. So I think that way feels, probably a little bit different than the other guys.
It dawns on me that he's a Heisman winner that is returning to his program, and that doesn't happen really ever, right? We saw it with Bryce Young, but after that, these guys are usually doing it in their third year, and they're off to the NFL. What have you had to change, if anything, about how you help prepare him for this season, knowing that the best college football player on earth?
Yeah, I really have looked back at some of the things we did with Baker in his third year. Point back to it, that's really the last guy that I had that have played in 3 different seasons. And so it's been fun to kind of go back, look at ways that we pushed and continually challenged Bake throughout those years. And I think just a lot of conversations with Caleb throughout the offseason about us staying focused on the goals of just continuing to improve and continuing to make this team and this program as good as we possibly can, building a support system around him to handle all the outside attention when you win a Heisman. And, certainly doing it in Los Angeles is like throwing gas on a fire in terms of that. And so you want to, advantage it and take all the good things out, but you also want to be able to manage it too. And I think he's done a really nice job of that up to this point.
I'm excited to see what y'all are like in 2023 for a number of reasons, not the least of which is we know what kind of a player Caleb is, and we know what kind of a coach you are. But I'm more excited because you have been a master at what people are calling roster management. I just say it's recruiting. It's recruiting out of the transfer portal. The guys you brought in are dudes, from all over. How excited are you to have those guys on your defensive side as well as your offensive side?
Well, the defensive front seven was our biggest project, right? That was our biggest project when we took over the job, and then after year one, still building that room, that competitive depth, the amount of bodies that you and I both know that it takes to have sustained success defensively and to be able to make those runs deep into the season, deep into the playoffs. Like that's where it comes from. I mean, that position is so important, and that's the area that we needed to make up the most ground. So yeah, based on what I saw in spring and some of the pieces that we've added since then, I'm really excited to get to camp, to be able to work with these guys, to see how these position battles ensue. And I do believe we're going to be a team that's going to be able to withstand kind of the grinds of the season, the injuries, all the different things that come up as you continue to climb that mountaintop. I feel like we're building something that's a little more sustainable, and obviously very excited about that.
And that's just the defense. Like I was thinking about this as you're talking, and you're talking about the front seven being a big project for you. You know, it's never a project for you, Coach? Wide receiver. You know, it seems like every single program that you've had, every season you've had dudes at wide receiver, whether they're coming out of the portal or coming out of recruiting. How excited are you about this particular crop where you return 4 of your top 6, you add guys like Dorian Singer, you add a dude in Zach Branch? Feels like that's perhaps one of the deepest wide receiver rooms in the country, if not on the West Coast altogether.
Yeah, I think it's got a chance to be one of the deeper rooms that we've had in a while. I'll tell you what it is, RJ. It's got a chance to be the fastest room maybe that I've had a chance to be a part of in my coaching career. You know, which is, you know, we've had some other pretty good ones as you know, and so to see the amount of speed on the field combined with a couple of guys that have some really elite size and elite traits is it's pretty fun. It'll be fun to see how we evolve and how these skill sets really kind of all come into play and work together, because there is a lot to work with, and it's a really hungry group right now, and I know we all have a lot of confidence in them, so hopefully they can take off, make a lot of big explosive plays for us this year.
Prior to his injury, Travis Dye was having a fantastic season for you at SC. This year you add a dude in Marshawn Lloyd that I quite frankly know a bit about, and he's a man that can tote that barge, lift that bale, carry the mail, if you will. But you got to do it behind an offensive line that you're retooling, right? So I'm asking, how important it is that you get those 5 guys on the same page so you can take advantage of this outstanding backfield you have?
That's a great question. It'll be vital. We had a really good offensive line last year. A lot of continuity to that offensive line. Guys really played well. We returned 2 starters off of that group, and then a couple of other guys that played significant snaps. Then we went and added several more through the transfer portal and in the recruiting class. We're going to be stronger. We're going to be bigger, a little thicker. I think, you know, potentially be able to get a little more movement, which we're excited about. And I think overall we'll be a more talented offensive line than the one we fielded last year. So the key, as you said, and with all great offensive lines, is not just the individual 5, but how do all of those come together? And that'll be our job here through training camp to really help bond these guys and get them playing as one. Because if we do, there's some really good players in that room.
This is a pivotal year for USC for a number of reasons. But for me, the top of the list is it's your last one in the Pac-12 before you go into the Big Ten and take on what I think is one of the 2 best conferences in all of the sport. How are you trying to navigate what's to come while also maintaining, we need to win the game in front of us, and that's a week-by-week basis that you want to last for 15 straight weeks?
Yeah, I think it's honestly not that hard, because everything about the Big Ten is just recruiting right now, right? Every person that we're recruiting is going to play in the Big Ten, and so when we talk recruiting, when we do anything in the recruiting world, it's all Big Ten focused. When we talk about developing our current team, getting this team ready to play, it's obviously all Pac-12 focused, and so and I think understanding the opportunity that this team in this moment right now has, and wanting to make sure that we capitalize and put our best foot forward there is it's not hard to like be tempted or to avoid temptation to maybe look ahead, because you know you got something pretty special right here, right now.
Last year, new kid on the block, shows up, wins 11 games, produces the Heisman Trophy winner, just like you do at Oklahoma, right? You're the same head coach. Now you got a dude in Coach Prime at Colorado who is having what I think is one of the largest outbursts of attention for a team that has yet to play a college football game. What do you think about what's going on at Colorado and how they're affecting the Pac-12?
I think it's been great. I think Coach has added a lot of energy to that program. That program has a history of some tremendous teams and some tremendous runs. So anytime I think a program like that anywhere across the country that maybe has been down a little bit can get back going, it's healthy for the sport. And then then a coach like what Coach Sanders is that has been able to obviously be so impactful as a player. You bring him into the college game, all the attention he's brought. They've been aggressive about rebuilding the roster, which, listen, that's his job. Like that's all of our job. Like you have a team, you have a university responsible to it. It's your job to build that roster the very best you can. And I see what he's done, and I know listen, like all of us, you're going to be judged on what happens in the fall, but you could tell they've been aggressive and they've been creative, and it'll be fun to watch how that program unfolds, and I'm sure he'll continue to do a great job and capitalize on the energy that he's created.
Well said, Coach. Did you win is how my pops would put it. USC coach Lincoln Riley, thank you so much for joining us here on the #1 college football show.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
I'm joined by USC quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. Caleb, how you doing, man?
Living the dream.
I hear that, dog. I hear that. So you've obviously seen what people have had to say about your season in 2022, notably that you could be the #1 draft pick in 2024. What would it mean to you to be the #1 draft pick coming out of USC, the first at quarterback since 2003?
Yeah, for me personally, it's been a dream of mine since I was younger. Since I said football was going to be what I was going to do for the rest of my life, it's been one of my dreams because it signifies that, you are the best player or one of the best players in the country. That's my goal every year is to work my tail off to be the best player. And so that's what I've been doing day in and day out since I was younger. And so there's no surprise for when it happens. Just got to keep working, keep grinding, got to focus on, the moment right now, and get after it this year.
So you've kind of been on parade, and I say that because I'm reading you quoted in People magazine. I see you winning an ESPY for Male Athlete of the Year. I saw you throw out the first pitch with the Washington Nationals. How are you keeping a level head throughout all of this?
Yeah, I think it's just something that comes with the lay of the land, having an understanding of that. Like, you work your tail off to be in this moment, and then you go do it. It goes back to the no surprise thing. Like, you have an understanding of the situation and how the situation goes on, and those are just some of the really cool things and cool experiences that, you go enjoy and understand the moment, but don't allow the moment to be bigger than what the moment is.
One of the things that I think many of us took note of as you were accepting the Heisman Trophy for the 2022 season is that you wanted to be playing in the college football playoff. And many of the guys that were there were having that opportunity. So how, if anything, can you do? Yeah, what can you do to make sure that USC gets to the college football playoff?
Yeah, we got a lot of key parts. So it's far from what can I do. It's what can we do, and are we that team on a mission? Are we that team that our motto this year and things like that is whatever it takes. And so, are we doing whatever it may take? Is it finishing past the line and not just getting to the line and things like that? 2 yards after the line, is it like whatever it's going to take to get to what we want, and being 1-0 each week. If you're 1-0, you do the math and things like that. You're 1-0 each week. You get to week 15 and you're 1-0 that week. You're standing right there, hosting up something that I want and that we all want, and that every college player wants to be able to host up. So, focusing on that, but also having an understanding that, there's no game that's bigger than the other game, from first to last, to championship to no championship. It's a unique position, and I'm excited for it. It's been a new challenge for me. I've had a lot of challenges so far in 3 years, and this is just another challenge for me, being able to adapt to the team and try and help to the best of my ability, being harder on the guys. And it goes back to, and I study these guys, Kobe, Jordan, people like that, goes back to the, like, if you dislike me, I promise you'll love me. If you dislike me in the offseason, I promise you'll love me. When we're all laughing up there in the locker room with our goggles on, hosting up the golden one. So, I've been hard. I've been hard on purpose. One, because I care about them and all the new players that we have, and trying to manage all the new characters. We got a lot of characters, funny guys, things like that. But also trying to manage that and have them also have an understanding of like where we're at and what we can do is huge.
That's a lot to carry, and it's a lot to put on yourself. Yeah. And it is not easy to have people not like you. As a matter of fact, I think you and I can share this. Sometimes I feel like I should just wear a T-shirt that says "heal," even though that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do the best job I can. And in you, like you're laughing, right? Because does it feel that way?
You don't try and be a villain to people.
No,
you don't try and be ruthless to anyone.
You try to be yourself. You try to be yourself.
Yeah,
right?
try and be yourself. Some people like it, some people don't. Yeah, some people like it, some people don't. And I don't. No, if you don't like it, I don't put that burden on myself. If you do like it, I don't put that burden on myself. Just keep being myself. I said this in my speech, is that the man that I look at in the mirror every day, I love this guy, and so. That's what keeps me going every day. That's what keeps me the same person I am today that I'm going to be tomorrow and many years from now. So, yeah.
Assume that you make the national championship game. Assume that you win the national championship, really putting an exclamation point on what has already been a fantastic career. But what would it mean for you to be the quarterback that helped Lincoln Riley win his first national championship, if not his first college football playoff game?
Yeah, it mean the world to me. Just because of how much winning means to me and how much I know winning means to that man. To be able to, out of all the great quarterbacks he's had, been able to coach, things like that. All the Heisman Trophy winners. I mean, if you go look at the NFL, he has 3 guys in the NFL right now doing well, all starting or at least competing. For that starting spot, and I mean, to be his first QB, to be able to help him reach that goal, I mean, it'd be huge for me. Nobody else be able to say that, and so that's something that means a lot for me, because I know that's in his dreams, his wishes. I know you get the social media Coach Riley, but I get the Coach Riley that works hard every single day, that wants to win just as bad as any of his players. And so when you got a guy like that, leading you in a battle each week and practice and things like that, it juices you up. So to be able to do something like that and help him and help him reach his goal while also being able to, reach the same goal because we have the same goal in mind, that mean the world.
It's certainly apparent how bad he wants to win. And while, I get the social media at Lincoln Riley, it's not because I'm not interested in the dude that is coaching you. As a matter of fact, more so, I think now than ever, as he is much more seasoned. Have you seen a change in how he gets down, not necessarily his day-to-day, but his demeanor over the years?
Yeah. He's got something about coaches that, and this is why, I mean, wherever I go, whatever coach I play for, I would like a younger coach because he's so in tune with learning what he's not doing well and what he's going to fix. And that's something that I'd say whether it's small, whether it's culture, whether it's something small within the team, whether it's something that he's not doing right, whether it's coaching QBs or the whole team, and whether it's his plays, he's always open to learning and things like that. He's not stuck up on anything. His ego is no higher than any of his players and coaches. He's for sure changed, but he's changed in great ways. And as you can see for the USC program, it's been on a constant climb up here recently, and ever since he got here, and it's kudos to him.
This might be your last season of college football, right? And I say might see because, well, you never know. But I'm counting on it being your last season because I expect you to play very well. That said, have you given some thought to just what has occurred in the short amount of time that you've been at USC and maybe how people have treated you since?
No, I'm going to be honest. People always ask me about the Heisman stuff or resurrecting USC or the all that stuff, and I don't know if it hasn't processed yet or if I don't know. It seems as if it just is normal in a way that it honestly just hasn't processed yet. None of the Heisman stuff, none of all the other accolades, and I don't know. I couldn't tell you that life has changed tremendously. I get asked that question, how has it changed? Honestly, the only thing that's changed is how many production days that I do. But other than that, nothing's changed. I go work out every day. I focus on my body, my food, hanging out with my friends, the things that mean the world to me, playing video games, things that I enjoy mean the world to me.
Well, I hope one day it does sink in and you get to feel the full weight of satisfaction that comes with all you've achieved already in the sport. USC quarterback Caleb Williams, thank you so much for joining us here on the #1 College Football Show.
Awesome. Appreciate you.
I'm pleased to be joined by Colorado defensive coordinator Charles Kelly. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good.
So, Coach, you're coming from Alabama, which has got a lot of pomp and circumstance around it for good reason. Have you ever seen this sort of pomp and circumstance around a program that was 1-11 the year before?
Well, I'll tell you what, coming from Alabama, of course, Coach Saban and, what he's done there is just probably second to none. He's the greatest to ever do it. But to have the opportunity to come to Colorado with Coach Prime and to really be able to change the culture and bring Colorado football back to the tradition that, I remember back in the 90s. And, all the good teams and all the good coaches that they had at that time. So I think people are excited. I think there's no doubt that Coach Prime has brought that excitement back. I think you got to give a lot of credit to our administration, our athletic director, Rick George. He's done a phenomenal job of giving Coach the resources that he needs to be able to do the things that it takes to be competitive and win in college football. And our fans are absolutely incredible. You saw the turnout at our spring game and then the turnout of the season ticket sales. That just tells you that our fan base is hungry and they want to be successful, and that's what we were hired to do, and that's what our intentions are.
I'm curious, Coach, having Travis Hunter on your side of the field and on the other side of the field, have you ever had a player that could go both ways like him?
Travis is a unique football player. I first started watching Travis when he was a freshman in high school. In fact, I saw him playing a spring game going into his sophomore year, and you could just see the ability that he had, first of all, because of his length and size, but he has incredible ball skills, and he's so instinctive. I think Coach Prime has said this a number of times. In order to play both ways, you have to master one position first before you can't get spread out between two. So he focused last year. He played some, as a receiver and made a lot of plays. But this past spring, he actually worked at receiver on the little things that it took to, to kind of separate himself. One of the guys that we had when I was at Alabama, Devontae Smith, we worked him at corner. He was probably one of our, better corners covering guys. A lot of people didn't know that. Now, we didn't have to use him as much because we had, some other good players. But, to have a guy that can do that on both sides of the ball, that is very unique in college football.
It's high praise. Devontae Smith winning a Heisman Trophy. That team, that 2020 team, is one of the best that I've ever seen. And to get it done the way y'all did in a play year, I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that. That's tremendously high praise, Coach. Another player I'm very excited about, but also I can't wrap my mind around this. So I'm curious, you being a defensive back coach and a defense coordinator, why do you think so many people don't think that Shedeur Sanders can sling it?
Well, from my point of view, I mean, there's a few things that you look at when you watch a quarterback. First of all right, Shedeur has incredible arm talent. Mm-hmm. He's got incredible hand talent. When I say hand talent, I mean, that makes you be accurate. I don't care what level of football that you're playing. When you're accurate, you're accurate. And if you just look at his numbers over the last 2 years, all right, doesn't matter. I mean, he shows that he can be one of the top quarterbacks and is one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Now, the other thing that I think, and a lot of times, and I hear Coach Prime talk about this, the most important attribute that a quarterback can have is decision making. And he makes good decisions with the football. He's a smart young man. He's very instinctive. He understands schemes. He and I talk a lot of times coming off the field, about, hey, Coach, y'all did this coverage today. The alignment was here. I could tell, you were doing that. So he studies the game. And, I'm glad he's our quarterback.
Well, Coach, it sounds like you and I are pulling from the same well, because I tell folks often there are 3 quarterbacks across this FBS and FCS that threw for 3,500, had 40 TDs, and 6 or fewer INTs. One of them is Caleb Williams. One of them is C.J. Stroud. The other one is your starting quarterback. We're pulling on the same thing there. But he's also a winner. 70-8, I think, all time as a starting quarterback in the league. I'm telling you things that you get to see with your own eyes. But I'm most curious, now that you are here and you give this level of gravitas to what Colorado is doing, being a National Recruiter of the Year, being on national championship teams at Florida State and Alabama, how close is Colorado to playing for championships?
Well, the thing that we have to do on an everyday basis to be successful, we first of all have to evaluate everything that we do. So Coach Prime makes sure in every situation of our football team, we're evaluating what we have every day. All right, the next thing you have to do, you have to recruit. You have to recruit, and you have to get people in here that can live up to the standard and the vision that Coach Prime has set. Coach is so talented in so many ways, but one of the gifts that he has is he has a crystal clear vision of what he wants a team to look like, and he has an innate ability to make everybody in that organization see that vision. So we have to recruit people that can, match his vision, and then we have to develop. It's not one thing that just to have the players there, you have to develop them. You have to develop them on and off the field and help them be able to create value for themselves. When you accumulate, a lot of people going in the same direction, right, now you can create a championship team, and that's what we came to Colorado to do. As you all know, it's been well documented. There's been a lot of turnover on the roster. Listen, the rules are what they are in college football. And Coach Prime made it very clear when he came in what our job was, what we had to do. I think he attacked roster management probably in one of the better ways that I've ever seen. That's what it takes. We have to have good players, and we have to develop them. And when we do that and we're pulling in the same direction, then we've got a chance to win championships.
It's right, Coach, in that, he came into the sport when it was undergoing change. He came into the sport when transfer portal was a thing, and he didn't need to learn to adapt to these things. These were things that already were in place when he became a head coach. All he's done is win since then. However, I think it's kind of underscored there that coaches, he's an old school type of dude, right? You can't just get anything by him. Somehow he's got this new age patina that people want to give him. But I want to ask it this way, Coach. you're familiar with come to Jesus meeting. When did you understand that, hey, they're going to move differently here in Colorado in one of these come to Jesus type of moments?
Well, there've been a couple of times. I think when you know Coach Prime on a personal level, and you know what makes him tick. I mean, I tell people all the time, his standard of what he expects is as high as anybody that I've ever been around, and he lives it. I mean, he's a disciplined person himself. He worked, he was the greatest player to play in his sport at his position. And it wasn't just because of talent, it was because of preparation. And so he's prepared his whole life. He does the same thing in coaching, so he has expectations, and our job, I tell people a lot of times, he is an architect. He designs it. Our job as assistant coaches is to make it look like he wants it to look. He knows what championship teams look like. He knows what it's supposed to be, and that's our job, is to help him do that.
Coach, I'm fired up to see what Colorado can do in 2023 and beyond, especially as a man who's been following, Coach Prime since he became offensive coordinator down at Trinity High School. So I go back just a little bit watching him. Very excited to see what your defense looks like in 2023 as well. Colorado defense coordinator Charles Kelly, thank you so much for taking time to join us here on the #1 college football show.
Thank you.
I'm pleased to be joined by Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm good. One of the reasons that I want to talk with you is, frankly, this is not your bag, right? You are a football-first person. You want to do everything you can to help your football team win. How do you remain so focused on playing quarterback at a high level at the expense of all else?
Just keeping the main thing. This is just, I love the game of football. It's something that, provide for my pops and just for my family. So it's like you put everything into something and, the results you're going to get.
It's paying dividends. Like I mentioned this to folks, but there were 3 quarterbacks across the FBS and the FCS who passed for 3,500 yards, had 40 TDs, and 6 or fewer interceptions. One of them is Kalen Williams, one of them was CJ Stroud, and one of them is you. So why do you think people are so interested in doubting your ability at this level?
I don't know. That's for them to figure out, The stats speak for themselves. And all I could do is just take it game by game, week by week, day by day, rep by rep. So it's like I can't I can't control what everybody else's narrative and everything. Does it seem fair? No. But at the end of the day, I'm not really too concerned about it.
What I'm most curious about is the dynamic you have with your pops, because y'all feel like two polars, right? But you balance each other so well. Him being a little bit more warm, you being a little bit more cool. Has it always been that way?
What you mean by him like warm and I'm cool? Like, it just depends on what you mean.
Well, so
it just depends.
Coach Prime is not shy in front of a camera. He knows exactly what he's going to do. You feel like I can do this, but I don't need to do this.
Yeah, I mean, he's like 50 something, so it's like he got everything. He got experience, he got everything. It's just me. I just know the most important thing is playing. And I know, this is a part of everything. But the most important thing is just getting back on my team and just locking in and, just working out the kinks and stuff like that. So that's where my focus is at all times. His is too, but, he's more experienced in the field. He's been doing it for about 40 years.
Well, that's also a very good point you raised there. Him having already played, him having already got his accolades, and him really trying to put y'all in a position to get yours. However, I've been covering this sport for half my life now, and I have never seen so many people interested in a program that frankly was 1-11 last year, but that's before you arrived. That's before Coach Prime arrives. Mm-hmm. How do you adjust to knowing that there's all of this noise and attention being paid to the program?
I mean, that's how it was at Jackson. You know, it wasn't. It was the same thing. A lot of people want to see you fail. So it's just like, we don't really pay that no mind. We already been through it before. So all we do is just focus on the controllables that we can control, and then that's it. But it's normal. It's just a new year. That's all it is.
Can you describe for me your relationship with Travis Hunter as a wide receiver?
Travis, he's right there. He's weird, but nah, Travis cool though. I feel like we think in sync. I think his IQ is on a different level to where we're able to think the same thing at the same time in the same moment. Like those one-off situations that the defense presents you that's gonna show you an odd coverage we ain't go over. Then we both think the same thing. So I feel like mentally we're both there to where we're in sync.
Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders, thank you so much for joining us here on the #1 College Football Show.
Most definitely appreciate it.
I'm pleased to be joined by Colorado athlete Travis Hunter. I say athlete Travis because, well, you go both ways, dude, and you defy description. How has that transition been for you at the collegiate level?
It's been the same, man. I just go out there and put in the work like I'm supposed to so I can be able to play both sides of the ball.
Most coaches feel some kind of way about allowing a player to go both ways, splitting their attention, as it were. What do you think Coach Prime trusts most about you in being able to do both?
I feel like he trusts that I'm going to go in and get the work and know what I have to do, so when it's time to play and time to shine, he know I'm going to be ready to do what I need to do.
Your commitment is historic in that you were the first five-star, let alone #1 overall recruit, to commit to a program at the time in Jackson State that was in the FCS. Did you realize what you were doing when you did it?
Not as soon as I thought of the idea, but as it was going planned, yes, I did realize what I was doing. I had a lot of people come around me and tell me that I'm doing a great thing.
And in so doing, do you feel any pressure to perform?
Nah, I don't feel no pressure to perform. That's what I'm here to do, man. That's what I like to do.
So we're heading into this Pac-12 season, and you got some names on the schedule, but I'm more curious about how you are adapting to playing wide receiver at Folsom as opposed to playing Jackson State. I understand Shedeur has been your quarterback the whole time, but is there anything different about how y'all going about your business?
Yeah, we're a fast tempo team, so yeah, we different now. I mean, our altitude getting us more tired, so we got to put in the extra work to get what we need to get for the season.
Yeah, offense coordinator Sean Lewis has described that offense as riding a bicycle downhill. You got to be able to solve problems as they're happening in front of you. I'm curious, how does it operate on the defensive side with Coach Kelly being your defensive play caller?
I mean, he put in a lot of work and a lot of plays for us to understand we can get anything out of any coverage. I mean, out of any adjustment, we got to just adjust. It's on the fly. You got to know what you're doing at every time. So it's pretty much like the offense is fast tempo, fast thinking. So you just got to be there to know what you're doing.
When you decided to play for Coach Prime, was the top of your mind to try to do what he did in the NFL?
Yeah, that's definitely the top of my mind. I mean, you see, I'm still trying to do it, man. I'm trying to be the best two-way player.
And in being a two-way player, you already have folks that are doubting your ability, even at this level, even with the accolades that you got as a high school player. How do you deal with what other folks have to say about you and the program?
I mean, I don't even worry about what everybody else got to say. They're not inside. They're not doing what I'm doing. They're not putting their body through what I'm putting my body through. They're not working as hard as I am. So I pretty much just let them talk. They ain't doing nothing but making me go at it 10 times harder.
You and Coach Prime love to have a fishing rod in your hand. I got to ask, when y'all go fishing, who be catching the most fish?
I'll catch the most fish all the time, every time.
Now, one time, has he ever beat you fishing?
Nah, not one time. I mean, we only fished against each other 2 times. We're going to try to get some more in, but right now we locked in football already.
That's what's up. Colorado wide receiver and defensive back, Travis Hunter, thank you so much for joining us here on the #1 College Football Show.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm pleased to be joined by Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer. Coach, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I want to start by taking a look back at 2022, which is a historic year for Washington. I don't mind saying so. You had the second best offense in the country behind Tennessee. You had a quarterback that threw for more yards than any Washington quarterback has ever thrown for in a single season. My question, I guess, is, can you do it again?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that are hard to replicate, but we have everyone back. We have all the skill positions, a few changes on the offensive line, but guys who have a lot of experience returning, and so those expectations are high, and we're excited about how they've pushed them. The guys have pushed themselves to be even better, and we continue to evolve and add. And year two, there's always going to be some growth too in what you do, whether it be your schemes or just the understanding of what the program looks like year round. And guys feeling comfortable in that. So we know that. We didn't accomplish all our goals. We didn't make it to a conference championship, and so the guys have stayed hungry, with their eyes on that prize.
You won 11 games, so I'm going to be the first to tell you. I was not just surprised, I was shocked to see that y'all were that competitive. And yeah, you feel right there on the doorstep. But one of the reasons that I believe you're right there on the doorstep is offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb and Michael Penix seem to have something that a lot of offensive coordinators and quarterbacks simply do not have. If you can tell me what that is, I would love it.
Well, yeah, you're right. Those two guys sit in the meeting room every single day and, are watching film and putting the game plan together. Coach Grubb, would be the first to tell you that he's got an awesome staff around him, and they just work so well. They're so cohesive. And, I think the big key is that there's no egos across the board, from the coaching staff to Michael. And, it doesn't matter who gets the credit, but Coach Grubb's certainly done an amazing job. And, he knows the plan. He knows the organization of our system, what we want it to look like, what the foundation is. But they're going to continue to evolve and grow it, as a staff and along with Mike. And I'm excited to see and be a part of, what we do this year, and what it looks like by the time we roll into December, of this season.
Being a football coach at a program like Washington is a lifestyle gig, and I understand that. But when you were winning games and producing points the way you were last year, I wonder who you talk to help you keep yourself grounded, to help yourself stay on track, whether it be a Chris Peterson or even a Coach Tedford. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, those guys have been great mentors. I always rely on the coaches that I've worked with, and I stay in contact. They're not just former head coaches that I was a coordinator for, but they're guys that are great friends. That I really trust and believe in, and when they give me information and their thoughts, I know it's real and there's not an agenda. But it is a luxury having Coach Peterson. Excuse me. It is a luxury having Coach Peterson right there in Seattle as well, as you mentioned, and it's been a fun, growing that relationship with him, and the trust and belief I have in him, and him wanting our program to be great. He's comfortable in his skin and knowing that he accomplished some great things here at UW, and he wants more of it. So he's gives me great perspective. I think that's the piece that is important, as a head coach, is just through those ups and downs, understanding, what your foundation is and having perspective on why you do what you do, and how to move on to the next set, the next piece, when the good and the bad are both hitting you.
One of the things that we do in my profession is talk about which coaches develop quarterbacks and how. We don't do a great job of acknowledging when a coach has picked up a talent that was once great and then helped him rediscover why he was great. I feel you did that with Michael Penix Jr. through the ups and downs he had at Indiana and that phenomenal season he had last year. What are some of the things that you helped him understand about himself?
Well, I think when you look at the situation, it's very unique because Mike's had some continuity with who's around him too, even from a coaching standpoint. Nick Shedeur, our tight ends coach, was with him, going back to the early years of being recruited to Indiana. And when I came in, Nick was on our staff. And, when I left, Nick became the coordinator and worked with Mike in 2021 or 2020 and 2021. And, both of them also came into our program. And so, there's enough eyes. And again, Coach Grubb is the one that leads the charge with that in his room. But, I think just constantly understanding where Mike was at, where he's at now, where he was, and just the progress and the little details that we continue to emphasize and work on, knowing full well, the full scope of how he's been coached and him being comfortable with the people that are surrounding him to trust and believe that the things we're bringing up are the things that are important to his success.
How important is the wide receiver play of Jalen McMillan and Rome Odunze to the success of your program?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you got to have guys to throw the ball to, and a lot of focus is on Mike, but he's got a line that protects for him, and he's got some skill players at all positions, and the highest profile guys that get talked about a lot, of course, are Jalen and Rome. And for good reason. And they physically have some amazing tools. They also just really are just great guys, great human beings, and just work so hard. And so they're leaders for our football team, and they bring that whole receiving core along because they know they need even just more than those two. Jalen Polk and Jeremy Bernard and others have worked so hard, and they're excited about this season. Of course, a lot of extra motivation. You got number 9 throwing to you.
I'm curious how you feel about the state of the Pac-12 and college football in general, given that we've seen more change in this sport in the last 5 years than I want to say we've seen in the previous 30.
Yeah, it is been crazy. You got to continue to evolve with the times. And I don't think just because of what we've been through the last few years that you say that. I think that's just always how it's been. You evolve with the schemes offensively and defensively. You evolve with just, society. You evolve with, the rules and the opportunities now with transfer portal and NIL. And so, I think you take all those things in, and you just got to be understanding that, the way it was 5 years ago or even 3 years ago isn't how it is now. And, I think we have a staff that communicates, works together really well, and, we're staying up with those times.
My last one for you, Coach, because you kind of hit on it, and I want to see if you expound on it. Wanting to be a football coach, right, in this day and age is not wanting to be a football coach in 1995. Why are you still hungry and still want to do this job and do it at a very high level?
Yeah, my passion comes from the experiences I had as a college football player. And the experiences back, when I was their age, are what made me who I am today. And when I really take that perspective and go back to my coaching philosophy and surround myself with others who have that same philosophy or similar philosophy, I think it's what keeps you going. It's what keeps you, motivated to make a difference in each and every day that you get to be around these student athletes. And so we get to, coach football and, not got to. And that's the thing, the way we look at each and every day. It's a great opportunity, and along with some things that are maybe frustrating at times, there's so many good things that happen each and every day. And seeing the guys work hard and have smiles on their face and coming together, that drives me even more to give them everything I have as well.
Get to, not got to. Love that, Coach. Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer, thank you so much for joining us here on the #1 college football show.
You bet. Appreciate you.
That's going to do it for this episode of our Pac-12 Media Day interviews. Be sure to join us here on Friday for day 2 of our Pac-12 Media Day interviews, which is when I will see you. Deuces.